Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be together today on this beautiful day outside. All that humidity just ran away and left us feeling good today. So I'm always in a better mood when the weather's nice. So I'm thankful to be together with you guys. I'm thankful to be sharing this time together again. These Tuesdays and Thursdays have been just really impactful and powerful experiences for me to hear from you. And I thank you for tuning in and listening to the different voices and the folks who are sharing with you guys. And I'm just excited that Embrace is on this journey of growth and transformation together, that we don't have to go at this alone, that we get to grow and learn together here in community, even as we have to stay socially distant. I've got a little bit to share with you. Then we're going to hear a little bit from one of our people, Reams. He's got just a little clip that I'm going to share from him as well. And then we're going to take a little bit of time at the end just to connect through the comments. And so what I want you to do now is I want you to be thinking about, what are you grateful for today? So what are you grateful for? What are you praising God for today? And I think even in really hard times, we still have to fight to practice gratitude, because we need to always remember what God has done for us and what God is doing in us and through us. And so what are you grateful for today? What are you praising God for today? And then also I would love if you were willing and had the courage to share maybe some things that you need prayer for. If you're struggling today, what are you struggling with? Where are you experiencing sorrow? What are you protesting today? We live in that tension, right, of gratitude and sorrow, of praise and protest. I saw Denny said in the comments he's feeling conflicted today, and I don't know exactly what he means, but my interpretation in my own life is, yes, I feel conflicted. I feel in that tension of gratitude and sorrow, praise and protest. It's kind of hard to live in that tension, but that's often where we find God, I think. And so I'm excited to share just a little bit with you today. A couple of quick things. If you don't mind, you could share this. Other folks might get connected through you sharing it. You know the drill by now and know how to do that, I'm sure. Also, we have church on Sundays at 11 o'clock, our worship service, our gathering here on Facebook Live every Sunday at 11. And we also post our services. We post our check-ins, our sermons on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, and you can find that on our website. If you go to our website, embraceyourcity.com, and then go to online media links, it's a link there, and you'll be able to find our website that way pretty easily, or our YouTube page. We also have a podcast. So if you like to just listen through audio instead of watching a video, we have a podcast that we're uploading all this stuff to as well. So you can stay connected and informed and kind of know what's going on and what we're wrestling with as a community through those different platforms. So feel free to check that out. And then also, I just want to remind you, if you need something, if you are struggling, if you have a need, if you just need someone to talk to, if you need prayer, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or to Christina. Tanya Torp has expressed that she's available for prayer as well. And so if you need something, reach out to us. All right. You can email me, john@embraceyourcity.com, Christina@embraceyourcity.com. You can call the church office as well. It's on our website. If you have my phone number, you can text me or call me. But I'd love to chat with you if you need anything and just need someone to connect with. So don't hesitate to reach out. Particularly now, don't go weeks and weeks. If you're really struggling, reach out to somebody, ask for help. Sometimes it just takes talking to a friend. So I would love to be that person for you if you need that. So don't hesitate to reach out. I just want to share a few quick thoughts with you guys today. Life is very overwhelming right now. Would y'all agree with me on that? That life is very overwhelming right now. There is so much going on, so much tension, so much suffering, so much pain, so much anxiety, so many fears. And on top of all that, it seems like everybody has their own opinion and commentary about all that tension and suffering and pain and anxiety and fear. And we see and we hear their commentary on our social media feeds, podcast, on television. Needless to say, it is all very overwhelming. And just to be honest, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. My tendency and kind of my gut is to often to try to escape from reality. Do y'all ever have that issue where you just kind of want to run away from it? Sometimes my tendency and my gut reaction is to ignore and to look away from the tension and the suffering and the pain, because it's not very easy to see. It's much easier just to pretend like none of this stuff exists. It's much easier to mute or unfollow people who are bringing attention to injustice on their social media feeds and social media accounts. It's much easier to avoid the movies and the shows and the documentaries that deal with hard subjects. It's much easier to move out into the suburbs where the problems and issues are hidden behind privacy fences and inside large homes. It's much easier to avoid reading those books on racism that are collecting dust on the shelf. It's much easier to attend that church that talks about happy things all the time and pretends like things are just A-okay. But I'll tell you, the artists, the prophets in our community, they've always challenged us to take the harder path, not the easy path, the harder path. And that's the path that causes us to wake up, to refuse to look away from the tension and the suffering and the pain. There's a song all the way back from 1975 written by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, and John Legend and the Roots redid it. But they say, wake up everybody, no more sleeping in bed, no more backward thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There is so much hatred, war, and poverty. All the way back in 1975, these guys sang those words, wake up everybody, wake up. You know, artists and poets and writers have been saying these words in one way or another for a really long time. Wake up, wake up. I heard a song a couple years ago. He said, stay woke. They're going to catch you sleeping. Don't close your eyes. And that's what artists do. That's what prophets do. They challenge us to wake up. You know, one thing that people have taught me over the years that I've learned about myself is that my privilege, and particularly my privilege as a straight white man with the relative amount of wealth, when you consider the wealth in our world, that privilege that I have allows me to look away. The white privilege, we talk about that a lot right nowadays. My white privilege allows me to ignore the tension and the suffering and the pain because most of the world's problems don't directly impact me, which is a privilege that I have that most people don't. And I'm learning that I need to forego that privilege, to wake up and to refuse to look away. And then once I see and I understand, then God's calling me to action, to doing something once I fully and start to get what's going on and see it for what it is. You know, I'm going to play a short clip from one of my friends, Rick Reams. Rick and his wife have been attending Embrace for a little while now. And one thing I love about Rick is his willingness to change. In all the conversations I've had with Rick, he's always telling me the things he's learning, the ways he's adapting, the ways he's transforming, the ways he's unlearning things that he always believed were true. He has this willingness to change. Rick, and he told me recently, he's 57 years old, and he's like, I'm 57, and I still got a lot to learn. And I think that's just beautiful that Rick is 57 years old, but he recognizes that he still has so much left to learn. And that's inspiring to me. You know, I like to think of faith as a lifelong journey of growth and transformation. Faith is not a one-time thing. It's not just believing the right things right at the right moment. It's not about some one profession of faith that you make. Faith is a lifelong journey of growth and transformation. And as we get older, we often stop adapting. We stop changing. We stop learning. We get set in our ways, right? And that's not the case with Rick. He's going to share a little bit about just a short clip about some things he's learning. And he's going to reference a passage from Colossians chapter 3. And I want to read the couple of verses to you and show you on the screen so that you can go ahead and get it in your mind, and then you'll better understand what he's getting at. And so let me show this on the screen here. This is from The Message by Eugene Peterson. So if you're serious about living this new resurrection with Christ, act like it. Pursue the things over which Christ presides. Don't shuffle along, eyes to the ground, absorbed with all the things right in front of you, but look up. Be alert, wake up, right, to what's going on around Christ. That's where the action is. See things from his perspective. So let's hear this video from Rick.
This one is what hits me. Don't shuffle along, eyes to the ground, absorb the things right in front of you. Look up and be alert to what's going on around Christ. That's where the action is. You see, friends, I even admitted on Sunday, when John preached a couple weeks ago, that I have a really, really bad habit of wanting to look away. I want to turn off the news. I want to stop the video. I don't want to see the pain. I don't want to see the hurting. I don't want to see the suffering. But that's because I'm not looking at it with the right eyes. See, Jesus can't turn off the pain. Jesus can't turn off the suffering. Jesus had to be right there on the cross. He had to endure that. And because of that, I need to keep my eyes open to what's going on around me, to what's going around in our community, to what's going on in our country, to what's going on in our world. It says your old life is dead. Your new life, which is your real life, is with Christ and God. It's nothing new. It's nothing earth-shaking. But your new life is with Christ and God. And it says, and that means killing off everything connected with the way of death. Just stripping off all of that stuff. It talks about the old clothes you wore. Everything is different now. It says, you used to do those things and you didn't know any better. And that's what hits me. I still know better than to look away, but I've still been looking away. Well, that's going to stop now. It's time for me to keep my eyes open. It's time for me to look around. Maybe it's the same for you. Maybe you need to open your eyes to what's going on, whether it's this racial injustice or something else in your life that you need to open up your eyes to. And you need to see it for what it is.
Well, thanks to Rick for being willing to share just a little bit of a reflection with us today on something that he's learning and growing into. And a couple of things I want to say real quick. First, I want to remind you, faith is a lifelong journey. And that means we've got to show grace to one another, because the reality is we're all at different places in the journey. And so if we don't show grace to one another, then how are we going to end up moving in the right direction? So we need to show grace to one another. As Christians, we've got to fight that urge to shame one another. If someone's not where we're at or doesn't understand something like we do, we got to show that grace to one another and allow one another to grow. And we've got to encourage one another to grow and to learn and adapt and change. And we've got to be open ourselves to that, right? We've got to be open to changing and recognizing that we have so much left to learn. We have so many blind spots, so many things that we don't fully get. And so I just love Rick's witness of being a person who's lived 57 years and still is willing to say, I've got a lot left to learn. And I know I do too. And so I'm just so happy to be in a community that's willing to go on that journey together and learn from one another and show grace to one another. And then the other thing I want to say, we're talking about waking up, opening our eyes, not looking away. But I do want to give one thing just to say to you guys, it's okay to look away sometimes, because we do need to care for ourselves. We need to practice self-care. We need to make sure that we're not becoming consumed in all the issues that are going on around us, because it could be easy for us to get so consumed in what's going on that we kind of lose ourselves in the process, and we forget to care for ourselves, and we become an anxious hot mess all the time. And that's not helpful to you or to anyone else. And so make sure you're caring for yourself. It's okay to disconnect sometimes. Take in news. I've heard people suggest to do it in batches, where you're not just constantly on Facebook or constantly on Twitter or constantly checking CNN or whatever, but taking time to away from it, but then engaging with it when you're ready, when you have the energy and the focus, and reading, and not just keeping the news in the background all the time, because that'll stress you out. But finding those good articles, those books that can really help you to learn and grow and dig in and better understand what's going on, and the suffering and pain of other people. And so that's just a couple of quick things I just wanted to mention to you guys. So